Hi, welcome back. Let's move on. Well, this graph is actually, when you just look at, you just see in 2021 particular spike. But it's also interesting, in my opinion, on the way it shows the world as a whole. It shows shares of economies, national economies, in recession in different years. Um, well, in uh, well 2007, 8, you see the recession. With the recession, the number of countries with recession has gone around 60%. Of course, in the Great Recession, it has gone to 80%. Um, Around 1970s, for example, it has gone 40%, 50%, basically. But it is the first time since 1871 when 100%, almost 100% of the world population, world economies, countries are in recession. Of course, that might be probably one of the reasons why this is the case is the connection of the world is much more sophisticated, even when we are considering the years 1960s, 1950s, basically. So now the crises are becoming more global, and this pandemic itself has become very fast. I mean, in a matter of weeks, a global pandemic, which might take even at at the turn of the 20th century, a much longer time probably. Another interesting fact is actually, if you look to the graph, throughout the 20th century, never the percentage of economies under recession has fallen below 20%. So every year we have at least some countries that are experiencing recession. So um, we don't have any year where almost 100% or at least 95 or 90% of the countries were not in recession. What does it mean? We might think about this. I mean, maybe our system is always needs those countries in recession to survive. Maybe that's a necessity of our economic system. Or, another interpretation could be, um, well, just statistically, I mean, there are some countries which are not able to get, uh, statistically, some countries which are not able to stabilize their economic systems, which might be around maybe 50% or 60% of the world countries, continuously, because their economic system is not stable enough, continuously enter to the recessions and then get out and get again the recession. So it might be because of the structure of some countries, which periodically enter to the recession, or which might be created by the structure of the global economic system itself. I'm just looking to the data and telling you, well, which type of questions, what information we got from the data, and in some cases you might also ask what questions might arise from the data. I mean, data might provide us some answers, but also in some cases some questions. Anyway, let's continue. This is the graph we have seen before. It shows again the growth of advanced economies and developing countries, basically. And as you have seen, as you can see here, developing economies in general, in terms of growth, are making better. And since the last two are predictions, you can see actually some predictions are even seeing even actually expecting a 10% decrease in the production level in advanced economies and almost 0% increase in the 2021, while some predictions, the extreme ones, see almost 0% decrease in the growth rate of the emerging, the developing countries, basically. Of course, these are predictions. We will see at the end of the year what will happen. Now, from the growth, overall growth rate, I would like to go to, this is United States, to the labor market. This is interesting. It shows what is the reduction of hours in different sectors. The biggest reduction has been in the beauty and personal care sector. Unfortunately, you don't have numbers after May, which would be interesting because after May, United States see some kind of opening up. But there were also some people who were still reluctant, who were still not that much willing to go out and actually continue their lives as before. And actually, almost a symbol of the people who were against the lockdowns in the beginning in the United States. There was such a political movement there against the lockdowns. Was I want to get my hair cut? They even had a sign that says I need to have my hair cut. So that was the biggest decline actually. And after the April, you see kind of some people working in the beauty and personal care started to go back to work. This is leisure and entertainment, the second one. This is food and beverage sector, where there the decline has been around 60%. So people still continue to significantly, I mean, number of people still continue to purchase food and beverages, basically. And at the top, you have professional services. Chances are high those services can also be done at the home houses, although their efficiency might decrease, so there can be still some supply side effect. The decrease in this case might be mostly created by the demand side effects, and this might be also the reason why the increase in the beauty, the professional services, the number of hours worked in professional services from after April throughout the May has been very, very little actually. So that might be because the demand side effect might be a bit more dominant in that case. But still, again, these are some possibilities. Any kind of potential interpretation of the data should also be tested, basically. Anyway, well, this is interesting. This is actually showing us how the industrial production and the retail sectors are affected in global financial crisis and the COVID crisis. Again, United States. In a typical crisis, interestingly, industrial production is affected more than the retail. Although the differences are not that much, that large, but basically producers continue to producers actually decrease their production. So at that side of the economy, you see a reduction in production level, and retailers responded a little bit with a little bit less decrease. Maybe they adjust the products they sell. But in this case, there is a decrease in production level, which is larger than 10%. But the decrease in the retail sales is significantly more, 5% more. So obviously, retail sector has actually the sales, the actual people go out and do the sales has reduced significantly. So that might be something out of control of the places that sell their products, and some might also have no choice. I mean, they might have completely closed their places because people might be afraid of going to retail places. But production, of course, doesn't have these constraints, and they might also be able to maybe sell some products to other countries, or maybe some places which they buy their products in mass. For example, other production facilities might buy their products. So somehow, in this specific crisis, production industrial sector has been affected less compared with the retail sector. This is one interesting difference of this crisis compared with the global financial crisis in 2008. Okay. This is interesting. Changing continuing insurance claim, unemployment insurance claims. So when people got unemployed, they get some revenue from the state. So monthly, certain people go and make those claims. What is the difference between the claims that were made before the pandemic and after the pandemic? Interestingly, in Europe, you have almost nothing. So that means the employers, at least up to the May part, continue to employ people and get some incentives from the state basically. So the workers never get unemployed in that case. The union support might also have been effective in Europe, where you can see that support. Well, United States is a special case. I mean, there you see basically maybe because lack of the support, maybe also even if state supports the companies, maybe it doesn't bind that support to not fire their workers. And in the United States, it's easier to fire workers. The cost is lower, while in Europe it is more costly. I mean, the company might need to, in some cases, have a reason. In some cases, needs contribute to the unemployment insurance. I mean, pay to the workers some amount of money for a certain period. So in the United States, you have 1,000%. I mean, that's tenfold increase in the unemployment insurance claims. That's an interesting graph, basically. So here we see actually the clear breakups in the world economy. Well, the countries, it seems the trade between the countries, it was already decreasing in 2017, 2018, 2019, but in 2020, it is expected to fall almost, well, 13% or 14% decline, and which is the largest decline after World War II. Part of it expected to recover, but not all of it. So in these 2 years, it's expected to have a net loss in global trade. So the countries might already become more independent, and basically global trade networks were not that much. The integration of the world economic system was already maybe declining, although continuing, but at a declining rate. But this pandemic has significantly, at least in case of solid trades, I mean actual things that are bought and sold, the interaction between the countries of the world has decreased drastically. So in a way, global economic system is kind of experiencing maybe a temporary disintegration, although a limited disintegration at this point. I mean, which might be reversed if pandemic ends in 2021. So this type of well, this is the portfolio flow. So now we will go to the financial markets. And interestingly, there we will also see a kind of disintegration. I mean, again, a limited one maybe. But we will look to it in the next part. See you in the next parts.